that's actually kind of a good segue into what I was going to talk about, because I've read through, we're not going to look at any reviews here on the show or anything like that. But after reading through a couple more reviews and even hearing Dave talk about a couple of them on his show, and if you don't understand the whole Rotten Tomatoes thing and how that works, I'll even put the link to it in the comments after the episode's done. Go watch Dave McRae's last episode of McRae Live. Nobody can explain the way Rotten Tomatoes works better than him. I mean, he does an amazing job at it.
Well, give us a rundown, because I've always been curious about that.
Well, basically with Rotten Tomatoes, Dave makes the great point that, like, we live in a world where, like, if it's not a 10 out of 10, people assume that it sucks.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not true. When you start getting into 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, that's like, or like 30%, 40%, the majority of critics don't like it. But if you give a movie a 6 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes, a 6 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10 are essentially the same exact score. Like, it works it's like you're giving it the same score.
Yeah.
So if everybody gives the movie a 6 out of 10, it doesn't mean it sucks. It's still fresh. Like, it's just, you have to actually read what they're saying about it. Don't just look at the score. The score itself is almost irrelevant. You have to actually look at what their review says. What are they saying about the movie?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, man. Dave had an incredible show on that. I think it was last Wednesday. But after I read through some of the reviews a little bit, I saw one guy tweet out, I don't, was it Brandon Davis from Comic Book? I don't know if it was him. It was somebody, but they had been to a screener. It was a couple nights ago. And they were like, just saw Halloween Kills. Wow, I need a drink. That was a lot. Like stuff like that.
Oh, wow. It didn't start out good for me. I was like, oh shit, he's gonna darken that bit, but
no, but there's some commonalities between all of the reviews.
Okay.
And I kind of have them written down here. The first thing is that it is pure chaos. Like, the movie is pure mayhem. It is pure chaos. It is just nonstop. You don't breathe at all. It also relies a lot on your knowledge of previous characters, of Marion, of Tommy, and of Lindsay. Not just Lori and the characters from this and her family from this. I want it not new timeline, but from 2018. But I mean, half of the movie is characters from the original movie coming back. And from what I've kind of read, and you can look at all of this, I mean, there's not a lot of Jamie Lee Curtis. I think the standout characters are Allison, Karen, Lindsay, and Tommy. And I think part of what I've seen a lot of people complain about
is that not enough Lori.
Well, not only that it's not enough Lori, but all of these characters that they're bringing back, it's just like, all right, here's Tommy. Here's like 30 seconds of him explaining how this affected him. Moving on. And I think this is going to be a very loaded movie. Would you kind of agree with that?
That could possibly pose a problem. I'm curious what you guys think, because,
well,
as you guys know, we can all agree that, like, a loaded movie can seem too overwhelming to enjoy. You know what I mean? Like, if there isn't enough time to actually have decent exposition, and if you're having to rely on source material from outside of the movie, that can really take away from the initial impact of the movie. It's kind of like saying you have to watch these movies to make this movie make sense, which I don't mind, because, obviously we're Marvel fans, so we kind of enjoyed that. But what makes those types of movies so great is some of those Marvel movies, they stand out pretty well on their own. Like, you can watch the movie without having to go to any source material. They're just pretty stand-up movie. So this Halloween Kills, according to what you're saying right now, it sounds like it's going to be very source material reliant. And I mean, that's cool, but I'm fortunate enough to have you to like absolutely just run me through everything. Because if I were to watch Halloween Kills on my own, I wouldn't know who the fuck that bald man is. I wouldn't know who any other little shitheads I see over there. Any other people that die, I just assume they're just like B-list actors that just got paid just to die in the movie. So like I
Yeah.
wouldn't have known anything. So I wouldn't have the same amount of connection to the movies as say some of you fans out there and as you would. So I'm
Yeah.
fortunate to have that, but as a normal audience member, it's going to be a tough sell, which now I kind of see why some of the reviews are kind of dogging the movie, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Right. And I mean, you kind of have to think about it this way. To hardcore Halloween fans, we get it, but to
Yeah,
the
we
random
get it. Yeah,
random person, you
it's
know,
not going to hit.
it's hard because we also have the knowledge of Paul Rudd as Tommy,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing Loomis all those years kind of going crazy and seeing all these different things, like, but none of that exists. And it almost seems like there's more backstory, or there's not enough backstory for what they're trying to portray in Halloween Kills. Does that make sense?
You just blew my mind right like a couple seconds ago telling me that Tommy Doyle was Paul Rudd.
Yeah, it was Paul Rudd's first movie in Halloween 6.
He does not look like Paul. He does not look like Paul Rudd. That's what's scaring me right now.
I mean, it was baby
Okay.
Paul Rudd. He was probably like 19, but he was Tommy, man. So the big question here the biggest question that I'm trying to ask you guys, and what kind of came to my mind today, after knowing that this movie is chaos, it's mayhem, it's blood, that there's not really a lot of like exposition moving forward. It is literally just chaos for an hour and 47 minutes straight.
Mm-hmm.
What do you all want out of Halloween Kills? Do you want chaos and blood, or do you want a really intricate, elaborate story?
Because I'm not going to lie, guys.
That's kind of the
It's
question
going to
that I
be
have.
50-50 right now in my eyes. It's going to be 50-50 whether we get a decent amount of backstory or exposition in this film, or we just get pure chaos, which I don't know. I wouldn't mind just pure chaos because as your usual Halloween fan, I mean, they all love the movies because it was mainly like a stalking kind of Michael Myers. It just hid in the shadows. This one right here is just a full on rampage Michael Myers. Like his middle name is Michael Rambo Myers. Like for fuck's sake, this man's going all out.
He's gonna tie a red bandana around his head.
Yeah, like First Blood, he's gonna blow up a gas station, guys. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
but, yeah, I mean, what are you gonna expect? I'm curious as to what I don't even know what I'm gonna expect. I'm just watching this movie with fresh eyes right now, with an open mind at this point.
Well, and I mean, guys, please, there's 9 people watching right now. Let us know. Put in the chat, what do you want out of Halloween Kills? Like, do you want the blood? Which, I mean, it's going to be bloody. It's. I'm sorry about your luck if you don't want it to be bloody, but like, the movie he is going to kill a lot of people in this movie. And the more and more I think about it, and even if you watched our watch along of Halloween 78 and Halloween Kills from a couple weeks ago, the more and more I think about it, the more and more Halloween 2018 almost feels like a prequel to Halloween Kills, even though they take place within 6 hours of each other.
Wait, elaborate, please.
It feels like Halloween 2018 was just here was Halloween 2018, here was Halloween Kills. Like, that's kind of what it feels like. And I think I'm okay. Obviously, I want the story to be decent. I mean, I don't want it to just make no sense and for these characters to just come back, show their face, and die. Like, that's not what I want. I want there to be meaningful exposition about their
trauma.
I'm gonna say the word trauma. I know Jamie Lee Curtis is like, it's about trauma with women, and like, I don't know. I'm not getting into that.
Wait,
I know Jamie Lee Curtis keeps trying to push this whole thing about like generational trauma with women, and I mean she has been for a while, which is fine. That's okay. I have nothing against that, but it's just I don't know if that's necessarily the undertone. I guess it could be. It could be an undertone of the movie. I just remember her.
I
I
think it's
remember them.
trauma. Like it's
Right. It is.
it's like the underlying theme of it's gonna be about trauma. Like everybody's coming back and they're gonna explain what the fuck this maniac did to them.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, it's gonna be filled with trauma.
My head keeps going back to what David Gordon Green said originally with Mob Rules, the running title of the movie, for the production title. It's about mob violence and it's about mob mentality and what people do when they panic, because people do crazy shit when they're afraid. And I think that is what Halloween Kills is going to be about. I think that is the reason why it's so crazy and why it's going to be so freaking wild from the get-go. And you like I think I'm going to really enjoy this movie. I think I'm okay with it being kind of insane the entire time. Like I think it'll be different. I know we're not going to have a lot of breathing room. I know there's probably not going to be a ton of exposition. And again, as long as we hit the big cylinders and as long as we hit the big things with the characters, and again, if we bring up their trauma and how it's impacted them, I think it'll be fine. I just don't want it to be like, hey, Tommy, oh yeah, I remember you from the first one. Okay, moving on. Hey, Marion, I remember you. You were riding the car with Loomis, and moving on. Lindsay, you're going to find those kids. They're going to kill everybody in the car, and then here we go, move on. Like, there's got to be some more exposition than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I gotcha. But, well, I don't know. I don't know. Again, like, fairly new to this. So it's not like I'm going to the movie with a checklist. If you're going into that movie with a checklist, you need to reevaluate your love for movies and just cinema in general, because that's not the way to enjoy a movie. Is say, oh, it has to this has to happen, this has to happen. If it doesn't happen, not about it. You need to go. You need to go in there with an open mind. This is their take on what they think would happen, and you just got to be there along for the ride. It's like you're not going to a roller coaster and saying, I want 3 loops, I want to spin around, and I want to throw up 5 times. No, you don't know what to expect. You're just there for the ride. Like when I went on fucking Diamondback and Kings Island, I didn't know what to expect. I just knew I was going to piss my pants by the second turn. And let it be known, there it was. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just there for the ride at this point, man.
I think it's the same kind of thing as people who were disappointed with Endgame. The people who were really disappointed by Avengers Endgame are the people who went in with their legal pad of this has to happen, 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 this has to happen. And of course, Endgame took a couple of turns that like we weren't, at least for me, it took a couple of turns that I wasn't expecting.
It took
Endgame was a much different movie than I expected it to be. We knew it was going to be about time travel. We knew people were going to die. Like we knew it was going to go down. But it was different than I expected. Yeah. And again, I don't want to go into Halloween Kills with a checklist. Honestly, we watch a movie, Dave McRae, all those people that I usually listen to, if they do reviews before you and I have a chance to go see it, I'm probably not going to listen to them until after we see it, because I want to go in enjoying it. I don't want to think about it like a critic. I'm not a critic. I don't want to, you know what I mean? I want to enjoy it.
We are not critics. We're just people that love movies, and we just want to talk about movies that we love, and that's simple as that. And
definitely,
again, when we do the review for this movie, I'm gonna share my initial thoughts on it, because it's not like I have anything to go back on, like your typical Halloween fan, which I think is pretty dope for me to have, because like I'm going in there with fresh eyes. And I'm not at all sitting there with a checklist like, oh, I hope this happens, la 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 la.
Right.
Like I'm just here for the ride at that point.
For sure.
One thing I don't want to do though, one thing that I am curious about is I low-key don't want to know his backstory. I still don't. That's not a thing I want to see.
Yeah,
that's just one thing I don't.
I'm a little nervous about that whole him sitting at Judith's desk, like
Yeah.
looking at himself.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of
That's
like
not-
where are we going here?
It's a little. If I hear this man speak, if I
Huh?
hear this man speak, and he has a high voice, I'm gonna lose my shit. I'm gonna be like, okay, guys, we're going somewhere.
He sits down and he's just like, could you imagine? He's like all stoically, slowly, like he usually does, and he sits down and goes,
I
he's
wouldn't
like,
mind that.
he's like,
I wouldn't mind that.
and then of course he sees everybody
He
walking
sits down-
towards the house.
He sits
with-
down. He's like, bitch, fucked up my finger.
Well, he sits there and looks in the mirror. He's like, God, I look terrible.
I need a new mask.
He sees people running down the street with baseball bats and shotguns, and he's like, leave me alone. Like, I'm done. I want to go to bed.
Yeah,
I'm done.
yeah.
I'm home. Leave me alone now.
Yeah. He looks
so
at it and he
funny.
sees his mask and he's like, "Is that hardware store still open? Like, I need a new mask."
I gotta
Which, by
find
the
something
way,
else.
there was something that I noticed. Like, he robbed the hardware store, right?
In the original, yeah.
What hardware store has a mask like that? I've been to an Ace, I've been to a Lowe's, I've been to a Sears, and I've never seen a mask like that. What type of protection are you getting from that as a utility worker?
was
You're
the
getting no
70s,
sense of
Miguel.
protection. Well, I guess OSHA took a fucking leap here.
They might have sold Halloween stuff there.
Oh, it was Halloween. Okay, fair. I'll give him that.
What?
My bad. That totally just like there was a total gap in my head right there. I was like, in my head, I was just thinking, I was like, what sort of precautions do people have going to a utility store buying a rubber mask with flammable hair? That's just something that stuck in my head when I was watching it.
I don't know.
So I don't know. That was me.
So that's just a little bit about kind of our expectations for Halloween Kills. Again, if you're watching right now, we have 6 people in the chat. Please leave us a like and drop in the chat. Let us know, what are your expectations? What do you want to see from Halloween Kills? This is going to be our last episode, I think. I mean, we'll go live tomorrow, and I don't know, we might do a little bit of Q&A about it or whatever for the Scream trailer, but this is going to be one of the last times before we see it, Miguel, to talk about Kills, which is pretty wild. It's kind of crazy.
Are we excited for it? Yeah, we're pretty excited for it. My
Yes,
butthole
we are.
is puckered still right now.
No!